Well, guys, this is the second 2023 new release film that I've seen that reaches 3 hours in runtime. And thank God this one doesn't end with a reveal of a giant growling dick monster. What's going on, everyone, and welcome to my review of Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. This has just obviously been one of my most anticipated films of the year. Anytime a Christopher Nolan film comes around, it's an event. Everyone's talking about it. His name on the posters just makes you go, fuck, gotta go see this. And that makes me so happy because it feels like a real just big movie, like actual event that everyone's seeing, everyone's talking about. It's a blockbuster is the word that I've been trying to find for the past 25 seconds or so. It's a blockbuster, and you don't see a lot of them anymore. Last year we had Top Gun Maverick. This year we've got Oppenheimer, and fuck me, is this good. So to give you a bit of a rundown with my history with Christopher Nolan movies, the four that I haven't seen are Following, Tenet, Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight Rises. And I don't even know if Followings actually counts because I'm not sure it's actually feature length, but we'll just say I haven't seen four of his main films, I guess. Starting off with Memento, I very much enjoyed that. Didn't love it the same way a lot of other people do. Haven't really had much desire to rewatch it. Insomnia, I actually only just watched the other day just because I was getting prepared for Oppenheimer, and that immediately jumped up to one of my favorites of his, probably second favorite, just below The Prestige. Just outstanding. And then The Prestige, just must see for everyone who loves movies. It's a magic trick of a movie. Quite literally, it's just stunning. How they pull that trick off is just fuck. Inception, really great film. Interstellar, I thought he kind of fell off with. Got a little bit too big for its boots, but it has its moments. And Dunkirk, I quite enjoyed. And I just realised I didn't say The Dark Knight. I completely forgot about The Dark Knight, and that's because I think The Dark Knight is a completely average film. It's not great, it's good, it's not bad, but I don't understand why people consider it to be one of the best films of all time. It's just very forgettable for me. Anyways, that was all the films I watched before I watched Oppenheimer, and I was so ready for this. I just was so keen. I was like, this could be fucking insane. But it also could be really a little bit like Interstellar was, too big for its own boots and just kind of just crumbles under the weight of its ambition. But it didn't. Starting off with the positives for this thing, where do I even start? I'm going to say the performances, I think, is where I'm just going to jump on the first time. So this is a film with a stacked cast. You have people like Florence Pugh, Gary Oldman, Jason Clarke. Some of those people are making appearances for 2 or 3 scenes, sometimes even one scene. It's insane how many people are in this movie, and how many people, the big name stars aren't treated as the big name stars. For example, Robert Downey Jr. is in this thing, but he's not doing his kind of Iron Man cool thing. He's purely the character that he's playing in this movie. And I think that's just so good, because you kind of go into a movie, sometimes actors can be typecast and you go in expecting certain things from them. But with this movie, Christopher Nolan really lets his characters breathe and actually feel like real people. And just because they're A-list actors, it doesn't mean that they're tied down to their own kind of tropes and stuff like that. And I think it's just genius. Gary Oldman seriously has about 4 or 5 minutes in this entire movie, and I didn't even realise it was him until I saw the cast. I was like, holy fuck, that was him. And aside from letting his characters just be treated as people rather than actual just characters, everyone is just amazing in this film. Cillian Murphy is going to win the Best Actor or Academy Award. There's no way he can't. There's no way. There's not a single. I don't understand how he could not win it. He tells so much from his face, and just the sheer emotions that go through his face to guilt to anger to just sadness to almost to paranoia in some parts is just horrifying and so well done. And then there's Emily Blunt, who was great in the film. The other ones I've already mentioned, Gary Oldman, Jason Clarke, I actually thought he was a standout. I thought he was great. And Florence Pugh, she was excellent. Matt Damon, who's someone that I've actually never been a massive fan of, but I think in the past few years he's been great. Ford vs. Ferrari, I loved him in it. Now this, he's great again. I think I already mentioned Robert Downey Jr. is just absolutely fantastic. It took me about half the movie. I was like, holy fuck, that's him. Like, he really does embody his character. Josh Hartnett, which I was so happy to see him, because obviously I wasn't around in his big craze, but I've watched a lot of 90s movies like, The Faculty, Virgin Suicides, Halloween H2O, whatever, where he's kind of the standout in that film, and he kind of, at least from what I can tell, was meant to be the next big thing, and then he's kind of just dropped off, and now he's back playing a great supporting role in a Christopher Nolan film, and that was really great to see. Kenneth Branagh, Dane DeHaan, Rami Malek, and Matthew Modine are just a few other extra names that I really noticed were excellent in this film. But there is stacks more, and everyone is amazing. The tight dialogue in this film was so engrossing. This is a 3-hour-long movie where it's probably 95% of people talking. And I shit you not, the whole time I was just on the edge of my seat just listening to what they were saying. And not because of the audio problem that people keep complaining about. I understand, I have heard that in some of his other more recent films. But I think that problem was actually pretty well fixed. At least in my theatre, there was no real times when I actually had to strain to hear the audio. Or the dialogue, sorry. I thought it was really well done. And just the dialogue itself is just so engrossing and interesting. They're talking about things that I couldn't possibly understand, but it's done to a way to not dumb it down for audiences, and that's one of my biggest flaws with Interstellar, is that it's tackling very heavy topics and subjects and stuff, and it kind of dumbs it down to the audience, and it's just like, ooh, yeah, I don't care. This one just lets you get the sense of what's going on. You don't feel like these are characters exposing information to the audience. You feel like they are characters. You don't feel like they're characters. You feel like they are people. And it's just extraordinary how well this film is written. The character study of Robert Oppenheimer is just so engrossing too. It really is his film. It's got his name in it, of course. I don't even know why I just said that. But this is his movie. He is the one just getting everything. You travel inside of his head. You see his exterior versus interior, kind of his exterior facade, I guess versus what is actually going on internally. I think the film is incredibly good at doing that. It actually uses editing to really, really enhance what he's feeling. And I know a lot of people say good editing is when you don't notice it, but this kind of editing, I was like, holy shit, there is some serious shit going on inside his head right now. And it created some extremely harrowing sequences. This is another film with a non-linear storytelling approach. It jumps backwards and forwards from past to present and vice versa a lot, but it never gets too much. I've heard some people say it is kind of confusing, and yes, I think you'll definitely pick some more stuff up on the second watch, but you're never going to be watching this and be like, I'm totally lost, I have no clue what's happening. At least for me, because the dialogue is so engaging and the character study of Oppenheimer is so intriguing. The whole, you're never going to lose interest. Well, at least I didn't. I just don't think, I think if you're intrigued by this subject matter, you're not going to lose interest in it. Also, apparently Christopher Nolan filmed a lot of these sequences without using CGI, or all of them, he said, without using CGI. I'm guessing that doesn't include just touch-ups and stuff like that in post, but when you see some of these scenes and just the sheer spectacle of some of it, you're just going to be like, I don't want to, look, maybe I shouldn't even say this, because this just might sound really silly, but I got feelings that I could only imagine that people in 1968 would have felt when they watched 2001: A Space Odyssey. There are just sequences in this movie when I know that Christopher Nolan did it practically, and I'm just like, this is just extraordinary. This is quite literally, and I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that, this is quite literally a step up, like a step forward in the future of movies. Like, there is no fucking way someone could see this and see a film this ambitious, this crazy, a storyline that is not even slightly chronological, so many characters be introduced, and have effects and implications and just practical things happening. I don't know how you could watch this and be like, yeah, it's alright. I seriously don't get it. I could understand, like, from an enjoyment level, but from a filmmaking level, I don't think anyone's going to watch this and say, nothing we haven't seen before, is it? This is seriously, like, you think of how ambitious Inception was. You think of how ambitious Interstellar was. Well, he has fucking topped that again. In spades. He has gone from here, incredible, to all the way off screen. Like, there is no way you can, like... I don't understand. I don't understand how someone would even go about making something this ambitious and this crazy. And I don't understand how he would pull it off, in my mind, immaculately. This is just an insane achievement. Like, I left the theatre yesterday and I was buzzing. It's just extraordinary. I'm not talking spoilers of this, but holy shit. I walked out of the theatre and I was like, that was a 3-hour long movie that was like 95% dialogue. And my heart was racing the whole time. And that 5% when it's not dialogue contains some of the most suspenseful and intense sequences that uses the power of silence to convey something bigger. You think back to The Godfather 3, when Al Pacino does his famous silent scream, and how much more impactful that was than if you actually heard it on the spot. This film utilizes the same thing. There's a test sequence when they are about to blow up the bomb, and it's like a 20-minute build-up, mind you, and you've heard the line in the trailer. Matt Damon goes, "So you're saying that when we push this button, there is a chance that it'll destroy the world?" From that moment until the moment they do the test is some of the most suspenseful filmmaking, and it just goes dead silent to the point that it tricks your ears. You're like, is it dead silent right now? Or is it so loud that I can't hear what's going on? Like, it's actually just drowned everything out. It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. And then there are sequences delving into Oppenheimer after he's like, you know, obviously with stuff like Hiroshima and stuff like that, and facing the press and everything. And it's just his exterior facade of what he's done is amazing. And then you look at what he's thinking inside, and it culminates in just some of the most harrowing filmmaking that you could just possibly imagine. This is easily Nolan's darkest movie yet. There were sequences in this when it felt like almost to a horror kind of film. Like, it was just soul-crushing and just pessimistic and nihilistic. And without spoiling, it ends just on this visual that just leaves you with your jaw on the floor. It's outstanding. So overall, I have nothing mixed or negative to say about this film. This is quite literally groundbreaking. I don't understand how Nolan could top this, but then again, people said that when they watched The Dark Knight. People said that then again when they watched Inception. People said that again when they watched Interstellar, and they're going to say it again now. How can this be topped? It is top notch in every sense of that phrase. This is a master at work. I feel lucky to actually live in a time when I get to see one of film's last great blockbuster directors at his best. And I'm serious by that. I think that this might actually be his best. I love The Prestige, and they're both neck and neck, but in sheer terms of just filmmaking quality and ambition and actually pulling it off, I think that this might be his best film. And I don't see anyone topping it. I don't see him topping it himself. There is just... I'm going to quite literally remember this day, like, for the rest of my life. The day that I saw Oppenheimer and for 3 hours was invested in what was going on. I have to give Oppenheimer 5 stars. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I have been seeing a lot of people say, oh yeah, all this praise is hyperbole and stuff like that, but I don't know. Just after coming out of the theatre yesterday, and like this is about 24 hours after I saw it, and I'm still riding the high off of it, just like to the point that I feel like I just got out of the theatre 5 minutes ago. This is unbelievable. It's an unbelievable film. Please check it out. And if you have already checked it out, let me know what you think of it. This is insane. And I love it so much. So that about does it for this video. Thanks for listening to me. I'll see you all later. Bye.